Welcome back everyone to another exciting deep dive on our channel where we uncover the hidden treasures hiding in plain sight. And today we are going to talk about something truly extraordinary that has stunned coin collectors, historians, and treasure hunters all over the world. A coin that at first glance may look like just an ordinary penny but has turned into a legendary rarity because of its unbelievable mistakes and unique features. And that coin is none other than the 2001 cent coin. A Lincoln penny that some examples have been valued at a jaw-dropping $110 million because of the errors and conditions they carry. And as unbelievable as that sounds, this fascinating story goes deeper than just a small coin being worth big money. It opens the door to the world of minting errors, rare mistakes, and how sometimes the tiniest design flaw or unusual anomaly can turn a coin worth just 1 cent into something worth a fortune. And so in this journey together we are going to explore every detail about the 2000 penny, why it has drawn such legendary attention, what types of errors make it incredibly valuable, the background of how these errors may have happened, the way collectors and experts analyze such coins, the possibilities of what kind of varieties might still be out there undiscovered, and why this little coin is commanding a price tag of $110 million in some instances. So let's begin by looking at the year 2000 itself, which was a major turning point in the modern world with the dawn of a new millennium, and also an important year for the United States Mint as it continued producing billions of Lincoln cents featuring the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But as we know, when billions of coins are struck, errors are bound to happen. Yet what makes the 2001 cent so astonishing is not just one common error, but a combination of multiple types of mistakes that came together to create coins of incredible rarity, some so unique that collectors say they are one of a kind and impossible to replicate. And these include double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, transitional planchette errors, clipped planches, die cracks, cuds, struck-through errors, repunched mint marks, missing elements, and even wrong metal planches, which make certain 2000 pennies extremely rare and valuable. And the magic of this lies in how the coin world values rarity, because when a coin is one of a kind or has features no other coin in existence has, then its price skyrockets to incredible levels, and that's exactly what happened here. So let's break down some of the most amazing mistakes found on 2001 cent coins and why they contribute to a value that could reach as high as $110 million. For instance, the double die error on the obverse where Lincoln's eye, nose, lips, or the date itself shows clear doubling that can be seen without magnification, and the reverse with the Lincoln Memorial pillars or the words United States of America appearing doubled are highly collectible, and some examples are known to be worth tens of thousands on their own. But imagine a coin that combines a dramatic double die obverse with a major off-center strike where the design is shifted by 50% or more, making Lincoln's portrait appear partially cut off. Such a coin would immediately capture the attention of collectors and skyrocket in value. Then there are coins struck on the wrong planchette, which is one of the most spectacular types of mint errors. For example, a 2000 penny struck on a dime planchette or even on a foreign coin blank. These are extremely rare and can fetch enormous prices at auction. And when you consider that the US Mint was transitioning and striking billions of coins at high speed in the year 2000, the likelihood of such rare occurrences is higher than people think, making the hunt for such pieces even more thrilling. And then there are transitional errors where coins may have been struck on leftover planches from previous years with slightly different metal compositions. And since the mint had changed the composition of the penny in 1982 from copper to copper-plated zinc, any 2000 penny accidentally struck on a solid copper planchette would be incredibly valuable, weighing 3.11 grams instead of the usual 2.5 grams. And collectors would pay fortunes for this type of rarity. But the story doesn't stop there, because you also have dramatic struck-through errors, where foreign material like grease, cloth, wire, or even another coin got stuck between the die and planchette during striking, leaving behind bizarre impressions that make each coin totally unique. And these one-of-a-kind pieces are like fingerprints of the minting process, impossible to duplicate, making them highly collectible and sometimes worth millions if the error is dramatic enough. And then we must mention die cracks and cuds where parts of the die break during striking and leave raised lines or missing chunks on the coin. These add character and uniqueness that collectors adore, and some extreme cuds where entire portions of the design are missing can turn a penny into a multi-million-dollar rarity. And one of the most intriguing aspects of the 2000 penny story is the existence of experimental pieces or misstrikes during test runs at the mint. Coins that were never intended to be released to the public but somehow slipped through and ended up in circulation. And these coins are essentially mint secrets, rare beyond imagination, and their discovery can shake the coin world to its core. And when you bring all of these factors together into one extraordinary specimen, like a coin that has a double die obverse, is off-center by 50%, struck on a transitional copper planchet, and has a major struck-through error obscuring part of Lincoln's portrait, you suddenly have a coin so rare and unique that collectors would fight tooth and nail to acquire it, driving its price into the stratosphere until it reaches the astounding figure of $110 million. And that's why the 2001 cent has become a legend. Because while most examples are ordinary and worth only face value, the existence of even a handful of such extraordinary errors transforms the coin into one of the most valuable modern rarities ever known. And it also creates excitement among everyday people who may have these coins sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, or collections, not realizing they could be holding something worth a fortune. And this is why collectors emphasize checking every penny, even from recent years, under magnification, and with proper scales to weigh them, because mistakes like wrong planchets or doubled dies are detectable with careful inspection. And we must not underestimate the psychological appeal of such coins either, because beyond their technical errors they represent stories of chance, luck, and the imperfections of human processes in a world that strives for perfection, and those imperfections make them priceless. So when you hear about the 2000 penny being worth $110 million, you're not just hearing about a simple coin, you're hearing about a symbol of rarity, a piece of history frozen in metal, a lottery ticket of sorts for the lucky finder, and an icon in the world of numismatics. And the possibilities don't end here, because experts believe there are still undiscovered varieties from the year 2000 waiting to be found, possibly in circulation, in bank rolls, or tucked away in forgotten collections. And with modern technology like digital microscopes, XRF analysis for metal composition, and high-precision weighing scales, more collectors are finding and authenticating these coins, making the hunt for them even more exciting. And auctions prove this value, because whenever an extraordinary error penny surfaces, bidding wars erupt and prices soar beyond imagination, setting new records and creating headlines. And that's how a 1-cent coin can turn into next 1984 D1 cent USA coin. Today's story is about one of the most mysterious and sought-after coins in the world of modern numismatics, a coin that has captured the attention of collectors everywhere because of the astonishing errors and mistakes that make it valuable beyond belief. And that coin is the 1984 D Lincoln 1-cent piece, which has shocked the community by being valued at up to $26 million in certain cases because of its rare and dramatic error features. And in this extended discussion we are going to dive into the details of why this coin has become such a legend, what kind of mistakes and anomalies it contains, how those mistakes happened, and why collectors and experts have placed such an enormous value on what was originally supposed to be nothing more than a common 1-cent coin from Denver. And as always, our mission here is to entertain and inform you while uncovering the magic behind these small but powerful pieces of history. So buckle up as we go deep into every aspect of the 1984 D penny and why it is one of the most extraordinary coins ever discovered. And to begin, we should first look at the background, because 1984 was a time when the United States Mint was already producing billions of Lincoln cents each year. And in particular, the Denver Mint was responsible for striking hundreds of millions of pennies in 1984, bearing the small D mint mark under the date. But as with any mass production process, Mistakes are bound to occur, and in some rare cases those mistakes are so spectacular and so unique that they instantly transform a coin into a priceless rarity, and that's exactly what happened with the 1984 D1 cent, which exists with a wide range of errors and possibilities that have made collectors describe it as a jackpot coin. Now, one of the most well-known errors of the 1984 D penny is the dramatic double die obverse variety, and this doubling is not subtle. It can be seen most clearly in Lincoln's ear, which appears doubled, leading collectors to nickname it the double ear penny. And while many double die varieties require magnification to spot, this one is visible to the naked eye, making it extremely popular among hobbyists and investors alike. And when a double die is so prominent, its value skyrockets, with even minor examples fetching hundreds or thousands of dollars. But when paired with other mistakes like off-center strikes or planchette errors, the value can increase exponentially until it reaches the millions, and this is what makes the 1984 D penny so special, because there are examples that combine multiple rare errors into one single coin, turning them into one-of-a-kind rarities that collectors would pay any price to own. And beyond the double die, there are examples of 1984 D cents struck off-center, where Lincoln's portrait is partially missing because the planchette was misaligned during striking, and these off-center coins can range from minor misalignments to dramatic 50% off strikes where only half the design is visible, and the rarer the misalignment, the more valuable the coin. Then there are broad strike errors where the retaining collar fails during minting and the coin spreads out wider than normal, often eliminating the rim and creating a unique, oversized appearance. And broad strikes are another category that collectors love to chase. And when you have a double die obverse with an off-center strike or broad strike combined, the uniqueness is unmatched, adding immense value. And another key category of errors that makes the 1984 D penny worth millions in certain examples is transitional planchette errors. Because the United States Mint had changed the composition of the penny in 1982 from solid copper to copper-plated zinc, but there have been cases where older copper planchets remained in the system and were accidentally struck with later dates. So if a 1984 D penny exists on a leftover copper planchette weighing 3.11 grams instead of the expected 2.5 grams zinc composition, then that coin is instantly worth a fortune. And when combined with other dramatic errors, the price can soar to tens of millions, making it plausible why a coin like this would be valued at $26 million. And then we move on to wrong planchette errors, where a coin is struck on a blank meant for another denomination entirely, such as a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin blank. And examples like this have been discovered for various years, so the possibility exists that some 1984 D cents were struck on dime or foreign planchets. And such wrong metal strikes are among the most prized mint errors, often fetching record-breaking auction prices. And beyond planchette issues, there are also striking errors like struck-throughs, where foreign material such as grease, wire, cloth, or even another coin is caught between the dies and the planchette during striking, leaving behind strange impressions or obliterating parts of the design. And these struck-through errors are always unique because no two will ever be exactly alike, which adds to their appeal and their high value. And die break errors like cracks and cuds are another fascinating element, because when a die begins to fail it can leave raised lines across the coin, or in extreme cases entire chunks of the design disappear, replaced by blank raised metal blobs known as cuds. And the more dramatic the cud, the more desirable the coin becomes. And when you add the possibility of repunched mint marks, missing design elements, die caps, off-metal strikes, and other varieties that the 1984 D penny may exist in, the potential for creating a truly unique and extraordinary specimen is enormous. And this is why some examples are valued so astronomically, because in the world of numismatics rarity is everything. And when you have a coin that is literally one of a kind with features no other coin possesses, then its value is theoretically limitless. And that's why the figure of $26 million for a 1984 D penny is not as far-fetched as it might sound, because if an example exists that combines a double die obverse with the famous double ear, an off-center strike of 50%, a transitional copper planchet, a dramatic cud, and maybe even a struck-through error that leaves behind a unique design element, then such a coin is essentially priceless and collectors would bid up to any amount to secure it. And beyond the technicalities of the errors, the 1984 D penny also represents the human element of minting, because while machines are designed to strike coins with precision, mistakes remind us of the imperfections in even the most advanced processes, and that imperfection creates beauty, value, and collectability. And in the case of the 1984 D, those imperfections have turned an ordinary 1-cent coin into a treasure worth $26 million, and this also excites everyday people because the possibility exists that such a coin could still be sitting in a jar of change, a collection inherited from a family member, or even still in circulation, waiting to be discovered by someone who takes the time to look closely. And that's why it's so important for collectors and enthusiasts to always check their coins carefully, to weigh them, to examine them under magnification, and to research varieties, because you never know when you might stumble upon the next multimillion-dollar rarity. And when you consider that hundreds of millions of pennies were minted in 1984, the odds might seem small, but the stories of past discoveries prove that it only takes one lucky find to change everything. And that's what makes coin collecting so thrilling, because every coin in your hand could hold the potential to be the next headline maker. And the 1984 D penny valued at $26 million is the perfect example of that magic, showing how a small copper-colored coin can carry a history of minting errors, chance, and uniqueness that propels it into the upper stratosphere of value. And so the legend of the 1984 D penny continues to inspire collectors, historians, and dreamers alike, reminding us that treasures don't always come in the form of gold or jewels. Sometimes they come in the form of a humble penny that carries within it the story of mistakes, rarity, and an unimaginable value that turns 1 cent into $26 million. And the possibilities of more discoveries keep this legend alive because experts believe there are still rare varieties out there waiting to be found, which means the journey is far from over, and the excitement of the hunt continues for all of us who dare to look closely at the change in our pockets and imagine the fortune it could hide. Last 1997 1-cent USA coin. Everyone to another fascinating and exciting deep dive into the amazing world of coins, treasures, and hidden gems that might be sitting right in your pocket or tucked away in a drawer. And today we are going to unravel the astonishing story of a coin that may seem ordinary at first glance but has turned into a true legend in numismatic circles, the 1997 1-cent Lincoln penny, which has stunned collectors and enthusiasts worldwide because of the incredible mistakes and rare minting errors it carries, making certain examples worth as much as $8 million. And yes, you heard that right. A coin with a face value of just 1 cent that has reached multimillion-dollar status, all thanks to a fascinating combination of imperfections, anomalies, and unique conditions that transformed it into something extraordinary. And in this extended discussion we are going to go into extreme detail to explain why this coin is so valuable, what types of errors and possibilities exist for the 1997 penny, how these mistakes could have occurred at the United States Mint, why collectors chase them with such passion, and what makes people willing to pay such high sums of money for what appears to be just a common penny. And this story will keep you glued until the end because the 1997 penny is a perfect example of how rarity, chance, and the unexpected can create incredible value out of something so small. So let's start with some background because in 1997 the US Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents at multiple facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with the familiar design of Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But as with any year of mass production, mistakes happen, and what makes 1997 stand out is that the combination of mistakes discovered on certain pennies from that year are unlike anything seen before. And while most examples are common and worth only a penny, there are some extraordinary survivors with errors so dramatic they defy explanation. And that's where the multi-million-dollar valuations come in. So let's dive into the specific errors that make the 1997 penny legendary. And the first one we have to mention is the doubled die obverse, one of the most sought-after types of mint errors in the entire hobby, where elements of Lincoln's portrait, the date, or inscriptions like "I and God we trust" appear doubled because of a misalignment in the hubbing process of the die, and in 1997 there are known examples of pennies with strong doubling in areas like Lincoln's eyes, mouth, and ear, which can be seen even without magnification, and such dramatic doubled dies instantly capture attention, with collectors paying thousands for even minor examples. But when the doubling is strong and paired with other mistakes, the value skyrockets. And then we come to off-center strikes, another category of error that makes the 1997 penny so valuable, because when a coin is struck off-center, part of the design is missing and a blank crescent of the planchette is visible, and minor off-centers might be worth small premiums, but dramatic ones where 50% or more of the design is missing can be worth thousands. And if you imagine a coin that has both a doubled die obverse and a dramatic off-center strike, then you're talking about a unique specimen with value far beyond the sum of its parts. And then there are broad strikes, where the collar die fails and the coin spreads out wider than normal, without a rim, giving it a flattened appearance. And broad strikes from 1997 exist and are highly collectible. But what makes them fascinating is when they combine with other errors like misaligned dies or die cracks, creating a truly one-of-a-kind coin. And then of course we must mention transitional errors and planchette mistakes, because the United States Mint had long since switched to copper-plated zinc cents in 1982. But mistakes are always possible, and sometimes leftover copper planchets are used by accident. And if a 1997 penny exists on a solid copper planchette weighing 3.11 grams instead of the expected 2.5 grams, then it would instantly be worth a fortune. And we know that transitional planchette errors from other years have fetched incredible prices, so the possibility of one from 1997 is real. And it is these kinds of transitional or wrong planchette errors that can push a penny into multi-million-dollar territory. And then we must look at wrong planchette errors themselves, where coins are struck on blanks intended for other denominations or even foreign coins. And there have been cases where pennies were struck on dime or nickel planchets, and these are some of the most prized errors in all of numismatics. So the possibility that a 1997 penny was struck on a dime planchette or a foreign blank cannot be ignored. And if such an example exists, it would be valued in the millions. And another fascinating error that adds to the uniqueness of 1997 pennies is struck through errors, where foreign material like grease, cloth, wire, or even another coin becomes lodged between the die and the planchette during striking, leaving behind bizarre impressions or obliterating parts of the design. And these struck-throughs are always unique because no two will ever be exactly alike. And the more dramatic the error, the higher the value. And then we have die cracks and cuds, errors that occur when the die itself begins to fail, leaving raised lines or missing portions of the design. And extreme cuds where large chunks of the design are gone are particularly collectible. And there are examples from 1997 with dramatic cuds that make them highly desirable. And if combined with other errors, such a coin could be priceless. And we also cannot forget repunched mint marks, because the Denver Mint in particular still had instances of repunched D mint marks, where the mint mark was applied more than once and shows clear doubling or tripling under magnification. And while subtle compared to off-center strikes or wrong planchette errors, repunched mint marks are still highly collectible. And when you consider the possibility of combining multiple categories of errors into one coin, then you begin to understand how the value of a 1997 penny could reach $8 million. And imagine for a moment a coin struck on a leftover copper planchette, with a strong doubled die obverse showing Lincoln's doubled ear and eye, struck 50% off-center, with a dramatic struck-through error covering part of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and perhaps even a repunched mint mark, Such a coin would be unique in every sense of the word, and collectors would fight tooth and nail to own it, pushing the price higher and higher until it reached the millions. And this is what makes the 1997 penny so legendary, because it is not just about one type of error but the possibility of multiple dramatic errors occurring on a single coin. And beyond the technical details, there is also the psychological allure of such coins, because they represent chance, luck, and the imperfections of the minting process, and they give ordinary people the dream that they might stumble across one of these rarities in their own pocket change, which adds to the excitement and mystique. And this is why experts and collectors always advise checking every coin you come across, especially pennies from years like 1997, to look for doubling, off-centers, unusual weights, and other anomalies, because you never know when you might be holding a multi-million-dollar rarity. And the story doesn't end there, because auctions have proven that dramatic mint errors from modern years can fetch record-breaking prices. And whenever a new discovery is authenticated, the coin world buzzes with excitement and bidding wars erupt, sending values soaring to unimaginable heights. And this cycle of discovery, auction, and record prices is what drives the legend of the 1997 penny, and experts believe there are still undiscovered varieties out there, sitting in bankrolls, in old coin jars, or hidden in collections, waiting to be found. And this ongoing possibility keeps the hunt alive, making the 1997 penny not just a coin but a symbol of hidden treasure. And when you think about the fact that billions of pennies were minted in 1997, it becomes mind-blowing to consider that within that ocean of coins, a handful of extraordinary errors could exist worth millions each, and the thrill of searching for them is what makes this hobby so captivating. And the story of the 1997 penny valued at $8 million is proof that treasures don't always come in the form of gold bars or gemstones. Sometimes they come in the form of a humble 1-cent coin that carries within it mistakes and anomalies so rare and beautiful that they defy all expectations. And this is why the 1997 penny continues to inspire collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday dreamers, reminding us that the world is full of hidden wonders, just waiting to be discovered, and that a simple coin can change lives forever, turning 1 cent into $8 million of history, rarity, and value beyond imagination.